AITA for telling my husband that my doctor knows more than him and refusing to forgive him? With full updates. Hello everyone. My husband and I have been married for 4 years and together for 6, and this is the first major argument we've ever had. I, 24F, am 33 weeks pregnant with his 31M baby. When I was 20 weeks pregnant, my doctor diagnosed me with placenta previa, which is when the placenta covers the opening in the cervix. They told me it would likely move as my baby grew, but it never did. So I am scheduled for a C-section in just 3 weeks. 20 weeks, I was put on light restrictions, but at 30 weeks, the restrictions became more severe. No running, no lifting or climbing, no standing for longer than 3 hours at a time, and most importantly, no sex and no vaginal exams. My doctor explained that we wanted to avoid anything that could potentially cause bleeding, which could lead to preterm birth. I've been adhering to these restrictions for 3 weeks, but it has been driving my husband crazy. Every day, he asks for sex. Every day, I tell him I can't and remind him of the restrictions. I'm not even interested in sex right now, my belly is so big and I am always exhausted. He doesn't like these answers. Finally, he came to me and started talking about how doctors sometimes dramatize things for their careers and more money. He said they push for C-sections. I dismissed his comments because I knew my condition and was following the rules. Despite this, we ended up having sex. A few hours later, I started experiencing heavy bleeding, which scared me. I was crying in the bathroom, worried that I might need a C-section for a baby that was only 33 weeks old. I called my doctor, who told me to come in right away. During the car ride, I was sobbing, imagining the worst. Once we were at the clinic, my doctor asked my husband to leave and began questioning me to determine the cause of the bleeding. She wanted to know if I had done anything I wasn't supposed to do. I told her that we had had sex. She reviewed the restrictions with me again and handed me information on domestic violence. I was mortified. When we got back in the car, I broke down and yelled at my husband, telling him never to disregard my doctor's advice again and that my doctor knows what is best for me and the baby. He apologized, and I could tell he was sincere. However, I've still held a grudge for days, and he has been trying to make amends. He asked how long I would make him apologize, and I told him at least until the baby was born. AITA for this? Date 1. I wasn't originally going to make an update just because I was getting into specific detail about my life and I didn't want anyone I know in real life to find it. But I will because... I don't know why actually. I guess I just got some really good comments. I posted this about 7 hours ago and I cannot believe how many people have responded. I don't know if I could ever say thank you enough to such thoughtful strangers on the internet. So originally I planned to tell my doctor and my SAL, maybe my brother, but I wasn't looking forward to discussing those details with him. I rescheduled my weekly appointment with my doctor for TMR. I know some people said I would be able to just walk in, but I didn't want to do it and then have to make some excuse to my husband. Comments made me realize the severity of the situation, and honestly, I am terrified. So I called my SAL when she got off work and we had a long conversation. I mentioned in the comments, but my SAL and brother have never really liked my husband, especially my SAL. She was very supportive and kind and we talked for a long time. I guess I can admit now that it wasn't just sex, it was rape. We talked about that more than anything else. And she cleared the whole confusion thing up very quickly. I told her a lot of the things my mom excused because she likes my husband, and my SAL was livid. I guess I kinda knew she always would be, which is why I never told her. She ended up telling me to talk to my doctor and she would talk to my brother and we would see what was going on. She said she would come down on the soonest flight, but my brother cannot come yet because they have children of their own. I was content with that though, and my appointment with my doctor is tomorrow. So my husband got home kinda early and saw how I was upset. I was planning on getting myself together before he came home, but I did not have time. Still, I was not going to tell him anything, but he was being so kind, which he usually is. I know that's hard to believe, but it's true. Today especially because he was so kind and so worried about me. I know it was stupid to explain the situation, but I did. I don't know why. I'm just used to telling him my problems, I guess. It was a mistake and I know that. I am trying not to be so stupid anymore, but it's hard to switch from thinking about him as my loving and caring husband to my husband who is hurting me. So I told him that and how he hurt me, and honestly I am scared now. He was like, "What? How?" I said by forcing me to have sex, by literally forcing my legs apart and telling me to calm down. He was like, "Oh my fucking god, don't fucking say that. That's a crime, do you understand that? Do you understand you just accused me of marital rape? and pushed me away from him. I started to apologize, and he started to say it was okay and do that thing where he acts like I'm dumb again. So I finally yeah, actually, I do understand that now. It isn't right, and it is marital rape. It resulted in a huge argument once again. He called me an idiot for even daring to say those words. I called him an abuser, and he laughed. He was like, "Who are you talking to? You don't know what you're talking about," and started to go on and on about things I don't know about. He said sex with his wife isn't rape, no matter how you split it. I ended up trying to just walk away, but he grabbed me by my wrist. I snatched my hand away, and he held up his hands and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that might be considered battery of a pregnant woman if we're going by your definitions." Condescending tone is what drove me to the edge, and I told him I don't want to be around him. He was like, "Fine, I'll go." I said, "No, I want to go. I want to be away from you." He threw the credit card at me and told me to go get a hotel then. So I did. And here I am typing this now. And Maisel is on her way right now, but I am so far from okay. He's called me several times, but I won't answer. I've never seen him that angry before. I am slightly concerned about what he will do if I genuinely tell him I want to leave and take the baby. He was the one who wanted to have a child, and I was convinced. It won't let me take her easily, and that terrifies me. Every time my daughter kicks, I just want to sob. I never thought that my baby would make me cry like this. But I am just so scared. Also, I am just now opening this PDF everyone linked, but it's already making a lot of sense. Thank you very much for that. Final update. This update is just to let everyone know that I am okay, and to express my immense gratitude for all the support I've received. On August 7th, I shared my situation and mentioned experiencing Braxton Hicks contractions for the first time. I was advised to go to the hospital, which I initially hesitated to do. I'm so grateful that I did because by the time I arrived, I was bleeding heavily. Turns out I had a placental abruption. 10:37 p.m. on August 7th, my daughter was born via emergency C-section. As I write this, she is less than a day old. Although she was born at just 33 weeks and 5 days, she is doing relatively well according to the doctors. She is in the NICU, and I am still in the hospital. The care I'm receiving here has been excellent, and despite everything being overwhelming and frightening, seeing my daughter makes it all worthwhile. I'm fine, and I believe she will be too. The nurses are amazing, and the doctor has said that if all goes well, I should be able to take my daughter home in a few weeks. Regarding my situation, Maisel arrived shortly after my daughter's birth and has been incredibly supportive. Based on the attorney's advice, I allowed my husband to visit our daughter in the NICU. I don't have concerns about him harming her in the hospital. I've also received supportive messages from his coworkers and family, so I'm aware that he is likely spinning the story to suggest that everything is fine between us. He has visited our daughter several times today. I'm not entirely sure if he was present during the C-section, but he did come to my room this morning while the nurses were helping me walk for the first time after the surgery. I was emotional enough to let him in. It was difficult to maintain my resolve to hate him amid such an emotional moment. I allowed him to comfort me and found myself crying to him. However, when he said, "You wouldn't have had to do this alone if you weren't acting that way," and tried to make me kiss him, it was a stark reminder of why I need to distance myself from him. I'm still uncertain about my next steps. I had originally hoped to move my daughter to my home state to be closer to my SIL and brother, but I doubt my husband will agree to that. My attorney has informed me that I have several options, and they are heavily in my favor, especially since I followed your advice to obtain medical records and documentation from my doctor indicating that the placental abruption was likely caused by trauma and stress. These options primarily apply to our current location. That said, I'm okay with that for now. Holding my baby, seeing her, and loving her has brought so much focus to my life. My top priority is her safety. I will do everything I can to ensure she is protected from any situation like the one I experienced. She is only 16 hours old, and she has already become the center of my world. I may not update again soon as I hope to spend more time with my daughter, but I wanted to convey how much this post and your support have changed my life. Thank you to everyone who has been there for me. If anyone finds themselves in a similar situation, please don't be afraid to speak up. And to those who have survived similar experiences, you are incredibly brave. Thank you.